Hello, and welcome to another episode of Talks with the Tax Cop. This is season 3, episode 3. We're still in January 2024, and this has just been a challenging day. But we've made it. We are in the week of the announcement of tax day, right? So I'm gonna call it T Day because I love taxes, right? Tax deadline day gonna be TD day. For those of y'all who don't know me, I just jump right in, right? For those of y'all who do not know me, I am the tax cop, aka Patrice L. Berry, EA. Switch it around. I'm Patrice L. Berry, EA, aka the tax cop, and this is my podcast, Talks with the Tax Cop. This episode is the one that we will do once a month, where I take the time and pause, have an interview with my husband, and just kind of break things down from a hey, what's been going on, entrepreneur mindset, just conversation. It will not be the same format as a traditional interview podcast. It will not necessarily be the same format as what I would do in my regular Talks with the Tax Cop every other week, right? So what we're gonna do is Mr. Berry is here. I'm gonna bring him into the room. And let me make sure that I'm on the screen a different way, y'all. All right, it's just that y'all need to see my name. All right, let's bring Mr. Berry into the screen. Hey, Eric, how you doing? Is your microphone on?
Yeah. Yeah.
All right, cool. How you doing today?
My
Uh, what's been going on your day today
nothing happened today so far.
so far? All right, so this episode I want to kind of talk about. We're in 2024, still January. It is the week taxes start. I brought up this idea when I was thinking earlier. Crazy as it is, the tax deadline is April 15th, right? And you see your face? That's how I've been all weekend, kind of thinking like, man, you started tax. I feel like tax season is starting later and later. The tax deadline is April 15th. February is the shortest month. You start on January 29th. That means we really only have like let's take the 30th and the 31st and add it to February. So that gives us 31 days. We're talking about 2 months and 15 days to do taxes. We truncated stuff. And we don't even know if all the software and everything is, the states got to do their thing. Some states are delayed, etc. And then there's talks of uh, continual resolutions, adjustments in bills based on on a child tax credit and some other credits that could be passed. Just so many moving parts. And my mindset is make sure you got all your documents, because really the deadline for tax documents to be issued, the 1099s, the W-2s, everything like that, doesn't happen until the 31st is the deadline, January 31st. So I was thinking about that and being like, you know what? In 2024, I say all that to say it's not going to be tax related. It's not going to be a tax related podcast. Um, Goals for 2024. Did you set any? And I'll start. I didn't necessarily set goals for 2024 as I got to make this much money and this got to do this. I always do and look for growth in the business, but I really said the biggest thing I wanted was making sure that I decrease my stress levels. I've noticed that I do not move as much as possible or as much as I used to move when I worked outside of the home. And so I wanted to make sure that my stress levels are decreasing. So I do certain things, like I have 3 big goals a day, and then I have 3 big goals or things that I focus on for the year that I got to. I'm not gonna call them goals. I'm gonna call them accomplishments. 3 major things that I want to accomplish. 3 to 5 things I want to accomplish for the year, and then I kind of break them up into bite-sized pieces as to what am I going to do each quarter, so that by the time I get to December, those 3 big things that I wanted to get done actually are done. So does that make sense? Or do I sound crazy?
Uh, yeah, I got it.
Okay. So um One of those is more movement, is tracking my movement for me. Um, and then there's I don't necessarily try to. I think all my stuff is probably health related, keeping my stress down, and then really being intentional of making sure that I'm hydrated. Why? Because my skin be getting dry, and there's several different ways to be hydrated. Those are the big things that I'm working on for the year. All of them probably are just to keep myself calm and collected so that I can make sure that I'm sustainable and can make it through the year for all the things we have to do in business. Uh did you set any goals for 2024?
Mine said no goals.
You just set any
Goals.
goals?
No, my goals already been set
Exp-
throughout the year.
throughout the year, throughout the years of being in business, or throughout the years period? Like, explain.
Well, I don't set no yearly goals because the goals continue on no matter what. So if it doesn't happen in that 12 months, the goal is still there. And I pretty much add goals like I add a goal a day sometimes, depending on what I run into or what I'm thinking about. The goal is not necessarily going to get done accomplishing a 30-day period or a 12-month period. It can carry on to the next year, or however many years or months or days it takes to get their goal accomplished. So I don't really wait for what you call it, what people promote as what your goals for this year. So um, that's how I look at it.
Was there anything that kind of triggered that for you to not set goals in that manner, or to say they're ongoing? Because
Not
I guess
nothing.
that,
I mean, that's reality for me. I mean,
okay.
I'm not gonna set no goals. Like I guess when people say that, I don't really. I think it's more of will be associated with people trying to lose weight or something for the new year.
Right, right,
Maybe
right.
they just see they gotta change their weight or something like that, or somebody been prolonging on forever, and as they keep setting that goal, I guess for the new year they get it because they didn't do it last year,
Right.
but have no attempts of doing it last year. But goals just to me is just I don't know. I add them like I said. I can add a goal a day, add a goal a week, a month, or whatever. So I don't really say, oh, it's
Yeah, make a
January
big production of it.
2024.
You don't. Yeah, you
Let's
don't
do
make
the
no big
goal.
production of it.
No,
You
I ain't
what you're
doing it.
saying is you always working. You're always working towards something anyway. Like, not necessarily. I'm asking. I'm not speaking for you. You um do you ever feel like you're at the finish line? Because I guess with goals, it's like, okay, here's a start and I understand. This is what I'm taking. What you're saying, that it's a start and a finish, and okay, I did that. So now let me check something else off my list. What you sound like is all the time I'm aspiring to something else.
Yeah, pretty much. I mean, the goals never stop. So I guess people can live 12 months without no goals, just waking up, punching the clock. I guess. But if you about making some kind of progress with your life or you got a purpose, I mean, I'm pretty sure you you got goals all the time. Being added to your to do list or however you look at it. I mean, that's you should like. I don't know. Like I don't know. Maybe people are like, oh, I have a goal to go to take a cruise this year or something like that. I guess. I mean, I don't know. I don't do that. Is what I'm
You
saying.
actually, something you just said kind of triggered something for me, because it made me think about when I was going to work outside of the house, right? Or outside of myself, meaning like I was commuting and stuff. When I say outside of the house, commuting and working not working solely as an entrepreneur, even though I've been doing entrepreneurship the whole time. When I was working in the federal government, I don't know if I necessarily had a goal, except for, oh, I got to finish this project. So I might have been walking along in life the way you said it. Might be like, oh, okay, like if you don't have a function. I had other personal goals that I wanted. Hey, I wanted this cert. I wanted to go get this. But it was always, for me, the goals I was trying to reach all had something to do with something entrepreneurial in some way, shape, or form. And I'm just now realizing it with the way you said it, it triggered it for me to be like, oh, when I went to work, I was like, okay, we got to finish this project. So how much closer are we to getting the project? Because that's what the job is. Or you know what I'm saying? The deadline, we got to do I got to do appraisals. I got to do, how did I get there? Right. But everything I was trying to do personal development wise, I was actually, it was always tied to something. Hey, it was tied to something entrepreneurial, meaning that down the road I knew I was not going to always stay. I was going to actually have something that I was building, and so my goal was different. So I definitely can see how people get into a routine and be robotic and don't even think about it and be like, this is my job, this is how I eat, I'm gonna do this, and don't look out externally for, well, how do I look for improvement? So I mean, you make a very valid point in what you're saying. Very
Mm-hmm.
valid. But I didn't, until the way you said it, it triggered it for me. All right. So then for uh we work together, right? And our we work together in business. How, and there's a lot of, in this day and age with videos and stuff like that, there's a lot of podcasts that are husband and wife. There are a lot of videos that are coming out on social media with husbands and wives. Um, what is the thing you like about working? And name one thing that you like working with me, and what is one of the challenges that you find working with your spouse?
I had a slice ID.
None.
Uh,
You always on me on my. You don't like my shelf behind. Like there's nothing you're like. I this right here. If I could change it, I would change it.
uh, you need, I don't know, man. I guess you work too much. I would say.
I work too
Just,
much. I'm so
yeah,
I get locked in.
yeah, you get locked in.
I get locked in.
You gotta know how to say, uh, that's enough.
You
That's
don't feel
enough.
like my boundaries are good?
I mean,
They could be better.
I think they could be better. I mean, you ain't got no bound like you ain't working yourself to death like it's better than when you had to travel to
Mhm.
work. You know what I'm saying? It wasn't. I can't say you'd be like 12 hours a day. Yeah, yeah, damn it, 12 hours a day. It ain't like that. It ain't like that. I don't think. I don't believe so. But I still think you gotta be a little bit more cut off. But that's what I would say. That's probably just because of what you everything you're doing. And I'm pretty sure it get better. You just gotta get rid of some. Uh, um,
Some stuff off my desk.
yeah, you gotta get rid of some stuff. I don't want to say the wrong thing, but you gotta get rid of some things that's not lucrative to you. I would say that.
Okay.
And, outside of that, you know what I'm talking about.
That's why I'm laughing at you. It's like, okay, you that went a whole different way.
It's not lucrative.
I won't disagree with you. I the challenge I see, I enjoy working with you.
Mm-hmm.
I enjoy working with you because partially because we
Hey,
it has nothing to do with you paying me. Bruh, ain't got nothing to do with that. I
mm,
like working with you because you make sure that like sincerely, you do take care of me,
make sure
right?
you eat.
You make sure I
Mm,
eat. You make sure I
yeah,
get lunch. You make sure I take that break because I do get focused. I get locked in on a project, right? It doesn't matter. what I'm working. Like when I'm really like, I got to problem solve. I like the fact that you are a problem solver and you're a visionary. The challenge,
Mm.
I really do. I told you, I think that's attractive. Like when you get to seeing stuff, sometimes I can't see it. I'm so analytical, I don't see it. You see it from a visionary stance, and I don't see it. You see it before you see it before it's done, and I'm like, and people can throw stuff at you, and you're always looking for a solution. That's what I like. Like I can take something to you and you make it sound easy, and that can be frustrating at times. Like it's easy, just do this. Tell me you're not doing this, you're gonna do this, but you always and everything that you're doing are looking for a solution so it can be done quick. Uh, the challenge for me is you don't sit still. Like I
Mm.
know you can't sit still, right? Whereas I get locked and loaded, unless the pro like you like I'm sitting still for this period of time, and then once I'm done, I'm done. I'm off to do whatever. And you gotta, because you are a visionary, you have to go touch it, smell it, feel it. And I'm like, well, we can't put it up on the internet and figure it out. And like you like, no. Because if I miss this, and this, sometimes I have to be in that space to feel it. And so that's that whole part of it is you being a pearl. You have to be out in the elements. I can be locked up and be like, not locked up. Anybody hearing it? I'm not trying to be locked up. I know that sounded weird, right? You see how your whole face. I'm not trying to be locked up. Anything crazy. I'm not trying to go nobody to jail. Um, because I'm so conditioned to sitting at a desk and being with the papers and the data, I can go into that hole and not come out for hours and not realize that I've spent all that time trying to get the task done. So that's one of the things definitely in 2024 that I've said, okay, what's the big things you're trying to have done by the end of the year? How do you break them down in quarterly pieces? And each week, each day, what's the three things that you're focusing on? Very much the three rocks thing and focus from that stance. But I do appreciate our differences. Some I hold on to this. I don't know if you recall a conversation we had back in the day with Mr. Rice. And Mr. Rice was saying, like, when you were first like reinventing EB Enterprises again, and we were early on in our marriage, and he said, keep the roles separate. Meaning, do you remember this conversation he had with us? Where he was
That
like
wasn't.
working with your spouse and making sure that the role when you talking to him, that person is know when you're talking to your business employee, partner, whatever, versus when you're talking to your spouse. Do you remember
Mm-hmm.
that conversation?
Yeah, I remember.
I have held on to that piece of advice, God rest Mr. Right soul, so
Yeah.
well, because for me, I think that's why it is easy to work with you, because I can switch into, is this wife mode, or is this employee employer, or is this executive team mode? Like, what are we doing?
Mm-hmm.
Do you find that to be true too, or do you always look like she's my wife? Like, do you see me in separate roles, or or how do you look at it? I guess.
I look at my wife in the road. I mean, depending on what you're doing, I still know you're doing the road, but I still know you're my wife. So I know I was like, oh, okay, my wife is doing some PMP. But, but I know my wife. I know, oh, she my wife, but it's no. I just put her there because she's my wife. You know what I'm saying? You know how to
Yeah,
get the
yeah.
position. You know, I ain't doing that at all. But I still know you're my wife. I still look at you like my wife is doing that position. So,
Is that I
so
just have this? Do you think you look at it that way because of the fact that that you are in the trades, that you grew up in the trades, and you're like, I'm gonna use, because this is how I think you. This is how I see how you operate. To me, I think you look, because you're good at putting teams together. That's one of the things I like. You put the right tools in place to accomplish the mission. You go out, figure out what the mission is, and then you be like, all right, let me go get all the people, all the skill set, all of this to make it work, and throw my skill set in there. Is that how come you look at people that way? Like you like what you used to say, hey, give me I've been his apprentice before and I suck. Like we had to do something with a generator. He was like, you are terrible. So like if I say the wrong tools, know that it's not because I am an electrician, right? But I remember you'll be like, hey, get the clines, get the wire, hold this for the generator. Do is it because you think like that? Like what all do we need to do to get this done so we can move on to the next thing?
Uh, I just know the right skill set. You know,
you you know the right skill set. Okay,
yeah,
so then
I
how
know
did
the
you
right
get to a
skill
point where you were able to identify a skill set?
set. That's a good question. I mean, I think that's just something you learn going through your whole life, growing up, being able to identify people that's people in their situations as far as being like a leader and to it could be an uncle, it could be a mother, father, whatever. Like, oh, this joker don't have the skill set to pay no bills. I can tell you that, you know. Or this guy, this guy. Or you watch people like they just know how to manage, even if it's just watching your mother or manage something. But identifying skill set in the
Excuse me.
the different like for me for I'm uh, I don't know if it's just kind of like common sense or like some of the stuff I just been exposed to as far as like skill set in a company or a business or the type of business that I run. I could tell you a project manager, superintendent, general foreman, quality control, safety guy. I could tell you all that, because I understand each position and how it's supposed to be uh, done or played correctly. So, and outside of that, it's just like those who like the skill set with like organizing or paperwork, admin or accounting or just real estate or investing stuff like that. That skill set I just was exposed to, and you still get to see. Like you see who's good and what's not good. Um, you you should be able to identify a lot of stuff because you have some kind of knowledge of you need that skill set for. You don't have to be the expert, but you gotta understand how it's going to operate. Or you know, it's just that's how that it's like okay, you can break it down like even further. It's like people will buy say say you buy a car or somebody buy a Mercedes or something, and they can afford the car note, but if that car don't have no warranty and it get broke, they can't say they go, oh, instead of them going to the Mercedes dealer to get the expertise, or the people that just build the car, they go find some jack in the box guy that's doing it fix cars on the side or whatever.
Right.
And so now, not to say that he's not capable, but most likely he don't have that skill set and or the tools to diagnose the problem or even fix the problem. So it's just knowing the skill set and knowing where to go get the skill set that that has that they got some kind of credit and they're going to teach you what they're doing. If you're interested, you'll be able to see if he's BSing you or not.
I'm
No,
glad you said that because I was going to ask this question. How do you know that you have the right person? Because you hit on several different things in what you said about the skill set and knowing who the person is, knowing what is needed, paying attention to them. I hear you say you did a lot of observation. Um, and knowing also when to switch the person because even though they told you they had the skill set, you started looking and it was like, nah, you don't have the skill set. Like you get on me a lot for that. Like, Patrice, you stayed in that too long. Like, Like when we do review, you like you stayed in that situation too long. You should have got rid of this person when you saw this, or you should have came out of that situation when you saw this. When they gave you that, when they showed you that they didn't mean you well, or this wasn't gonna work, or they didn't have the ability to do something, but you stayed in it too long. Um, how do you separate that? How do you identify what that is? And do you feel like everyone who's in a leadership position is great at identifying skill set just because they are a leader or a manager?
No, leadership and management positions most of the time are not earned, right? They,
Are
you
not earned. You said a
are
word
not,
right there. I agree with some of it is people get moved up.
people just have the ability just to, depending on their career or organization that they are, say, employed by,
Correct.
uh, they might just be their turn. It might be just a grade. You know how the federal government go. It might be a grade thing. They have
Yeah.
time in.
You was a time and grade. I get what you're saying.
They have time and grade, and most people, well, that's something totally different. Being a lead, being a manager, and there's not that many people that's they got the title. But in my experience, most of them don't shouldn't be shouldn't be the, shouldn't be in that position holding the management
Or the leadership or the executive position.
yeah, yeah. It's just I would say there's not that many good managers and leaders out here. You
So
know,
how do you identify
well, you
you
got
what
you got you got to put that. I mean, you identify the person. You might not identify it right off the bat. As when you're employing people, people can talk a good game, and people can give you a week or 2 weeks of of falseness. I
that's
would say,
true.
and then sometimes you might not find out, and it could be a month. You know, it's just learning the habits, because most of the time the habits are the same. You know what I'm saying? No
Yeah,
matter what
yeah.
the person, some kind of habit or some kind of uh, some kind of some kind of
Behaviors or stuff like that.
sometimes,
Like
yeah, it could be a behavior trait that somebody else, everybody got it, that acts that way. You know what I'm saying? And most of the time when you look at managers and leaders, it's just like, okay, you could interview them all day long, but
mhm.
like people so savvy, they could they could pull it off, and then eventually that's when like 30 days or whatever. Sometimes they get into your pocket, and then you revisit, you're like, oh, this guy is not good. He's costing me clients, it costing me money, it costing me
Yeah.
employees. So um, you'll be able to tell, because most of the time, depending on how long you've been running business yourself, like so you have a manager or superintendent or whatever, and he has a task, and you ran into that task probably plenty times before in
Got it.
other projects, and so you could take it like, okay, that is, I guess the time, the hours that that this individual takes on a job, how he uh, you know talk with the client, of course, his correspondence, his paper trail, his pretty much documentation, how he documented the job. You you could tell, like, you can tell if it's standards is your basic standards. You know, If it's something that's supposed to have been done in 40 hours and this dude take 80, it's a problem.
Right.
You know. But I think being a manager, you gotta people don't understand. You really gotta serve. So, because the manager most of the time, he's not doing. I'm not saying his position is valuable, but he's not doing you know, the day to day,
Day to day,
the
hands
day to
on.
day, the hands on the day to day that's really making helping the engine run. He pretty much uh, he pretty much is serving his people because you gotta go and you want to go smooth. You gotta go make sure they got everything, make sure they communicating with whoever else is on the project, um, any material, any accidents reports, quality control. Them guys, managers supposed to serve.
Do you feel like now you said a whole nugget with that? Do you feel like okay, I agree with you, man. I believe managers should serve. Do you feel like executives, business owners, leaders should serve, or is their primary role should it just be a visionary one or a
Uh,
combination?
I think that's a combination. Every business owner, CEO, I would say, vice president, president, CEO of a company, they're going to be different, especially
Yeah.
when it comes to the employee. I mean, some people might just like it's just a cash flow game for them. So they
Hmm.
might just own the company, and they just looking for that quarterly call dividend or whatever,
Yeah, yeah.
and all they want to do is see the financial statement. Them the kind of people that's not really people person. They just all about the money and
The
the
bottom line. Hmm.
bottom line. So I mean, that's a lot of companies like that. Probably majority of companies like that. But the owner depending on I would say that depending on so I'm small business, so I'm more as a CEO, I'm more family oriented. So
Gotcha.
so so basically, I'm gonna take care of my guys because if it wasn't if they not out there um, doing what they doing, then what's the company? The company ain't is nothing.
Right.
So and uh, and 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 me, I'm there to serve them because I need to make sure that their job is good. They don't have no problem. They're not running into nothing. Because they pretty much really making it happen
Right.
to help the
The
end
engine.
help the car to go down the road.
Right. To help the engine run.
Yeah, so you got to make sure it's no different than you got a car. You got to oil change. You got to change the tires. You got to do
That's
things
true.
like that for that car to get longevity so you respect the car. So if you respect the car, you damn sure should respect individual that working in the company. And you pretty much make them, you, your vision is their vision, and you let them know that hey, this is not this is not a it's not a we just using you and abusing you kind of company.
Right, right, right. We see you as you have value. You
You
bring
have
value. We
value.
see you as being value. You, you, you are. We know that we are where we're getting to because you are working in the company. We want to hear from you, but at the end of the day, I still have to have that visionary stance as well as that. Sir, I have to have the vision, but still be a servant. Okay, what do y'all need so we can go get it? Okay, we don't have that. Y'all need this. Y'all need this training. Y'all need the best environments, the uniform, everything is needed. Okay, let's go. Let me go get it. But you have to have that two-way street to be able to. All right, I may have an idea of how to serve you. I may have an idea of how to lead you. But if that's not working for you and we don't have that conversation, that's where we have to humble ourselves in a leadership position and be like, okay, not just because it's always been done this way, but because we should be able to pivot. And this is just me talking, being able to pivot to best be able to serve. Because I agree with you. I believe entrepreneurship should be from a servant stance all around, especially when you are a smaller business. Now, when you were talking, it had me thinking some of these, most large businesses at one point were a small business. At one point,
Mm-hmm.
right? Because that's like some of these mammoth businesses go and acquire smaller businesses because they got, hey, it's easier for us to acquire you than for us to start from scratch. And somewhere along the line, as the businesses grow into mammoth businesses, some of that stuff goes away and the focal point ends up being the bottom line. How do you, as you grow and you're looking at skill set, still keep the core mission, core value in the business so that it operates the way you intended from a servant stance? Or have you thought about that? I don't know. I'm off the dome thinking of this. Like, just man, as you grow, how do you keep the core? Like, you have to, like, everybody. Yeah, we gotta have a mission. Yeah, you gotta have a vision statement. Yeah, so that way you know what you're working towards. But as you pivot and you grow, does your mission and vision adjust?
I mean, I think when you pivot and growth, uh, it might adjust. Most of the time, it's not going to adjust by much. I mean, you might add a little bit more to it. Like the basic things of integrity, quality, that stuff is staying the same.
The core tenets, the core principles:
Yeah,
integrity, quality, honesty.
yeah, core values always going to stay the same. But I think, see, I think it's the same thing as uh, the owner. It's all most of the time the owner is the owner. So it's nothing that's going to change him as far as like if they come to get big or whatever. He's going to still be all about the employee most of the time. Unless the I don't know. I think it's all on. If it was in the owner to be like, so say for instance, the company get bigger and bigger, and he forget that his values or his treatment towards the employee. If that happens, then that always was there in that particular owner.
And that
Most of the
individual.
time,
Okay.
most of the time in businesses, when it happens, it's because a bigger corporation than what the business owner and the values that was there when the business has
Ooh,
started is no longer
they
there
don't
because
align.
original owner has left. He
I get what
he
you're
sold his
saying.
company. He sold his company. So a lot of I seen that happen to a lot of companies, a lot of companies, and then that's just
That's business.
a
That's
new
capitalism.
that's just business. That's just a new family, a new boss, new
Right.
boss in family. His values might be different. You seen the company that I used to deal with, coming probably around 40 years or whatever, and big corporation bought them out, and
Yeah.
all the admin people and all the people was
Yeah.
kind of talking. We talked to them. Oh, I can't believe this happening. You know what I'm saying? They
Right.
was
Yeah,
up
we
the kick
did.
to the
We
curb.
did.
They gave them a kick to the curb because the values and there's no
They're not
more.
aligned from
They're not
how it was built.
aligned. They're not aligned. And nowadays, in these times, there is no such thing as values or loyalty or serving because these corporations or companies they start realizing like it's just, retail and stuff like that. They realize, oh well, we got like 12 people at the cash register. Guess what? We don't need them 12 no more.
Right.
So that value of it's for the people and that stuff dwindles away in the industry and like I say these corporations that buy you out and
Yeah.
now they buy you out, and their system is better than the dinosaur system. I would say where you
Yeah.
have so many people working for you. Now it's like, nah, so it's no more. Man, Sally, how was your daughter's birthday? It's like, man,
Yeah.
Sally, you laid off,
Laid you off. Here's your
laid
check.
you off.
Mary.
And it's
Yeah.
not even nobody to say, hey, I'm sorry, da da da. Ain't
Right.
nobody like that because that company president, CEO, whatever,
It's about
board,
production.
yeah,
It's about depending on what it is, it's about, like you said, bottom line sustainability, what's going on, and not necessarily, it doesn't not necessarily have to be against the core tenants, but it may be to get to this next tier, there's some adjustments we have to make, and some of those adjustments require a sacrifice. Now in 2024, what do you believe in order to get past 20 through 2024 and 20 and beyond, okay, what do you feel like you gotta have to to keep fighting the good fight as an entrepreneur?
uh, I'll say you have to have access to more capital.
Different than
Uh,
what I was going to say. Okay.
well, I mean, it all depends on
No,
which
I
phase
understand
you
what you say.
in.
I understand why. I understand why
Phase,
you're saying with
phase.
more capital, because that's what make the machine run.
And that's just a piece of what you would need in 2024. I mean, for me, for where I see where we going. Um, but you gotta have more capital because you guys you scouting for more talent
More
and
talent. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
the
I got what you're
talent
saying.
that you're getting for the talent that you're looking for. You're not looking for no group, no. You're looking for real skill sets. So like me, I don't have time to mess with uh, kids because a kid to me is an adult too. It's somebody that's just looking for a paycheck, don't have no real skill set, and could care nothing about the company and you. They just all about them, and what they can squeeze out of you. That's the only. That's why I say you definitely need capital because you gotta you could get better
Talent.
skill set. Yeah,
Yeah,
better talent.
talent.
So
That have the
capital.
skill set that you're looking for. I immediately
Hmm.
thought, and maybe it's just because of how I'm designed, you gotta have a sense of technology or somebody on your team that has who knows enough about technology, because you can't understand it all. It changes so quickly. Um, but
Yeah, but technology.
your response is a valid response, because if
Yeah,
you got capital to
technology.
hire the person
Yeah,
with the talent that
because
know
you
it,
say, yeah, you say, especially technology. That's why you're gonna need that capital because
yeah,
you can't like I can't go and be like, oh man, Bobby has some kind of training. He been doing this on his own with the whatever online, whatever IT, whatever. It's like, man, I gotta hire that what's the guy
that already
that
got the cert
we got the search and
and has
can
experience with the cert.
right has yeah. So
Yeah,
like you need capital. You need 150,000 or something like that a
yeah,
year
yeah,
for
yeah.
this guy. So you can getting the skill set is great to do all aspects of the company, especially dealing with that with AI and
Yeah,
social media and
yeah.
that nature. But to get somebody like that, most of the time that position is not. Sometimes that's not $100,000 job. However, you you have to you have to pretty much you fighting is what I'm saying with other people out
You are, because everybody
here.
want the
Yeah,
best, and then you, okay, you want me, then I want this talent. I mean, you gonna pay for my talent. So so then how do you find the right mix? Because you need the skill set. So how do you find the right mix? Because it's people who don't have experience but have the potential. Like they on the track to get it. They have the potential. They have the ability to learn. How do you find that right mix with somebody who already has the experience along with somebody who doesn't? Like, how do you know how to bring, especially as a small business owner? Like, how do you know how to bring that, like, figure out that right cocktail, right?
Well, I mean, it's not no. I wouldn't say it's the right cocktail. I mean, it's all at the stage of whatever you're doing in your business. So if you at a stage where you can bring somebody on that that's not up to par, but can get there. However, that has a lot of downfall. So you most likely want to have that person is up to par and ready and hitting the ground running, because if you got that kind of work, then that's what you need. And then eventually you could bring another person that's have an idea how to do it, and then he could go up underneath that person with
Got it.
you. Because other than that, you're gonna have some sleepless nights. You would be kind of
Whew.
upset because you
Yeah.
learning and that joker learning. You know what I'm saying? Just
You
because
say
you
you
got
learned it and that joker
yeah,
learned. I mean, no,
yeah, because
that's a valid point. Like, when do you find that right mix? You gotta have somebody who knows, and you don't want. So when you're saying that first hire should, I'm just asking, that first hire need to not be somebody who you grooming. That first
right. You
hire
don't
need to
want
be somebody that can
to run with the
contribute some
ball,
value and run with you.
right? Because if you don't do that, then you're not doing what you're supposed to do.
Yeah,
You putting out fires, or you like I said, you trying to learn with this guy. It
yeah,
sounds good. You like, oh yeah, yeah. You think you make it. You think you saving some money, but if that's a position that need to be filled, if it's your overhead, then you just know you have to figure out how to get the jobs in, covered in your overhead. But if
yeah.
it's not in your overhead, and it's actually in the product or service, then you best to hire that
Experience.
experience, because other than that, you hustling backwards.
You hustling backwards.
Most time
You
people
got
don't.
me thinking. I'm like looking and going back through, like, how do we do certain stuff? What do we do? Have I done that? And in some aspects, you right. You right. You thinking you doing it, and then you like, yo, I done hustled. Like, this is crazy. Now I'm backpedaling. Or I gotta stay up on both ends of the candle. I'm burning both ends of the candle. This thing drive me crazy. Which is why my goal is move more, focus on stress, narrow them boundaries that he say uh I need to do. No, I get it. Cause you have to be like, I gotta get away from it, because if I stay in it too long, then I don't get out of it. I will say this. I don't know if you ever find yourself doing this. We may be having time where it's just us, right? Out talking or whatever. I have to purposely find myself in a mode where I don't go into business mode. So let's say we go out to lunch or we go out to dinner, and it's not a business dinner or business lunch. We just actually going on a date. Um, I have to consciously be like, I'm gonna table that because I work with you. Like, an
Mhm.
idea may spur at that moment, and I'll be like, oh my gosh, what mode am I in? Am I in wife mode? Am I in mom mode? Is this a business? Can I flip into business mode? And I have to purposely be like, wait a minute, I can't bring that up at this time. I need to table it. Do you ever find yourself doing stuff like that?
Uh, if I'm on a lunch date,
And it's a
I,
date, not a business date.
well, I'm always going to start off with a business date. So I have my reasons, but I always want to mention something about business, even if it's 10 to 15 minutes, and get back on the date. But I'm always going to say that. It's nothing personal. It's a strategy that
It's your strategy.
it's my strategy. But I know I'm on a date, but I'm still going to say something
You
and just
don't
keep it
always do
moving.
that. There's times we've been on dates where we didn't talk business.
No, no, in my mind, I'm talking business. And
Did you say in your mind?
yeah, because it all depends on how the date going. Like, who paying for the date
Oh,
is what I'm saying. So
if I'm taking you out versus if you
no,
taking me
no,
out,
I'm saying if I'm taking you out and I'm paying for the date,
you gonna
so
leverage the whole date.
I'm levering the whole date.
You leveraging the whole date because you are my employer.
Yeah, I'm gonna leverage the whole date. It don't even have to do with being employed. You don't even have to say nothing. I'm just gonna say I ran payroll today. Now I gotta eat my dinner. So.
Nah, y'all. There's times where it's not always business. It's it's not always. You got to draw the line. You do have to draw the line. I consciously be like, oh, okay, I'll bring that up later. I might write it in my phone, and I have to consciously be like, okay, I'm not talking about that.
Yeah,
It may end up being business related. It may be end up business, but it may be like family business. You know what I'm saying? Like stuff for the kids, or where we gonna go, or how we gonna position stuff, or what we gonna do from a family stance. But it might not necessarily be related to either business, right?
mm,
Or a project. But I do think it's odd because a lot of times it'll be like how your phone was ringing during this podcast, and it'll be like, oh, somebody need me to take care of something. Let me go. Or we gotta go I gotta put this fire out. Or this job came up. Or hey, did you see that email? We gotta fix this, and we gotta fix it now.
mm,
Type thing. So I mean, we do have moments like that. But I try to be like, what? Why we together on a lunch date if it's a lunch date and it's not a lunch business date? There's a difference between the two, y'all. A lunch date and a lunch business date. When you got a bunch of kids, sometimes the easiest time is to go on a lunch date. Because it's just flexible. All right. So is there anything else you want to share with the people? This is exactly the type of conversations I want to have at the end of the month. Hey, we went through the month, stuff happened. Um, so if I try to avoid you on the day we record a podcast, it ain't personal. I'm just trying to act like, I'm trying to keep it fresh and funky, like I've never seen you.
mm,
Because then you'll be more talkative. But I do like your insight. You've given me some things to think about, some things that I need to go back and look at my infrastructure and think, hey, have I done that? Am I doing that? Who is the next hire? How do we hire them? Just some points. Skill set. Am I considering skill set? Do I train the skill set I have? Do I go get the skill set? Do I go purchase the train? Like those type of things, so you can make sure that you are going where you want to go next. So um, and like I said, I I think technology, you think capital, which makes him like I'm like a teenage CEO. He's an old head CEO because you see he immediately went and thought capital versus what I did, but his answer for capital make a lot more sense because you can do a lot. You got the capital, you can do a lot more and cover a lot more ground. That's that seasoned CEO
mm.
top mindsets. Is there anything you want to say before we close out the podcast, Mr. Barry?
No,
Nah, you good?
no, I'm
I
good.
thank you for your time because I do understand that you are busy and your schedule is normally mapped out. How do I know? Because I help to assist with the schedule. I know you got stuff on your plate, and we try to schedule it and record it before everybody in here come in here and give us interruptions. So I appreciate your time. I really do. Thank you.
Mm, mm,
Thank you, dear, and thank you for my lunch today.
mm.
Thank you for your flexibility. I appreciate you.
Business lunch today.
Bye, Eric.
All right.
All right. All righty. Hey, y'all. So, thank you for tuning in and listening. If you watch the video, you'll see my face scrunch up at times and things of that nature. Just because he really did. He gave me some food for thought. I want to make it fresh. I want to make it funky. I want to make it authentic. And so the questions I throw at him, I don't prep him for. I don't. He may be like, "Hey, I want to talk about this topic." Cool. I'll write it down. Um, and he may not know how I segue into it, but I'm glad to hear his perspective because I do. I look up to him. Not only because he's taller than me, but I actually look up to him because of the experience levels that he has had. I spent more time working for someone else while he was developing the business into what we see it is now. And I'm grateful for the opportunity that I'm home with him. When I say home, you know what I'm saying? I'm working for him full time and not having to commute out because I do learn a whole lot. I've learned a lot while I was working for someone else that I can use in his business. I am seasoned and have that skill set, the project management and things of those nature that I can bring to the table. Of course, I have the accounting and tax background, and I'm always looking for legal loopholes that we can leverage. But it gives me a lot of insight as to how to manage stuff. It's a lot he's teaching me in the space because I come from a more administrative analytical space, whereas construction is is foreign to me, right? So he's in his NAICS is construction design build out, and when they talk and I sit in those meetings, everybody who's in that space from the architect on knows how that works, and they talk their language. I just be the note taker. Eventually, by the time the project is over, I get it. But when we first starting and he got designs and drawings and okay, I see that and he can read the prints. I don't have that skill set at all. I don't have a skill set, but when you tell me to break the work breakdown structure and the scheduling and the mapping stuff out and how to do the AIA invoice, I do have that skill set. But you're gonna have to tell, okay, how many months, how's it gonna do? I I'll map it out. He'll map out a portion. We get together. We get with the team. We design it out. We get approval, and I make sure the pieces move. And where I can automate, I'm looking for a way to automate, and making sure that we had a right skill set in house. So we both play those roles. Like this is the subcontract agreement. Do we have that? Do you make sure we have? Because we know we're going to get audited by the liability company and the workman's comp. So all of those pieces we have worked and built systems and found new systems to do together, but it's amazing because it's certain skill set I really just don't have. And some of it I ain't trying to go get. But if anything happens to him, I know he's built enough relationships and vice versa. I built enough relationships that we are putting that knowledge management piece in place. And maybe we'll talk about that more so. How do you go on concern if something were to happen? How do you leverage that and keep it pushing? So I just wanted to say thank you. His points of I didn't prep him. His points of being a manager that serves, a leader that is a business owner that is a visionary and a servant. Those are the key takeaways from for today for me. Remembering your core tenets, and that yeah, you can have a mission and a vision. It may shift just a tad bit, but your core tenets of why you built what you built very rarely will change, but those definitions of those core tenets have got to be your core tenets. And how he processes is just different than me. I already knew that, but together we can be like Voltron. Yeah, that lets y'all know how old I am. Anybody who can see my t-shirt, my sweatshirt, I'm going to give a shout out as we go into February. Winnie Weston, this is y'all can see that. Winnie Weston is Justine Kirkman, the owner of Winnie Weston, is one of my clients. She actually is. I have a podcast with her from season 1. Her stuff is in Target for Black History Month. She has some greeting cards. She has a pay by number of her photos. Y'all can't see, but there's a picture in here that I have. I've got merch. I've got paintings already of her stuff. Go out and support her at a Target. If you're looking and you look on the back, oh my gosh, because I know I am going to support her even more than I already have, because I absolutely just love what she does in this space. And like, I don't wear a whole lot of pink, but this right here make me feel extra girly, and I wanted to bring that to you all as we go into the heat of tax season. Remember, taxes are due April 15th. If you get an extension, it's not a bad thing. Make sure you got all your documents while you're working with your tax professionals. Even if that tax professional was you and you are using tax software such as TaxSlayer, TaxAct, TurboTax, whomever. And those are my sponsors. I have used some, right? But whatever you do, make sure you have all your documentation before you hit that send button, because because you don't want to be doing amended returns, and nor do you want correspondence saying that you underreported when you could have just waited a couple more days for your documentation. Okay, W-2s, 1099s, all that kind of stuff is due to you by January 31st. Owners have that time to ship it out. I just want to let you know we are so glad that you tuned in to another episode, season 3, episode 3 of Talks with the Tax Cop. Every last week of the month, expect to hear a discussion between me and none other than Mr. Barry. Until next time, peace. Hey. It was a recap.